So I'm going to be talking about the poem Dear World, written by Paula Gunn Allen. And some background information, real quick, is that she was born as a Native American, part of the Laguna Pueblo and Lakota Sioux tribes. She was part of the Foundational Scholars of Native Americans. She's proud of her heritage, and her mother is from Scotland, and her father is from Lebanon. The whole idea of her heritage is something that was seen, or that will be seen throughout the whole poem. It's really important that we understand that now from her backstory, as it's very much emphasized. Some topics include spirituality, multiculturalism, women and gender roles, and lastly, heritage. This poem also uses the word blood as a metaphor for heritage, something we'll see later on. Starting with an analysis, Paula is very proud of her heritage. She even describes herself as a multicultural event. Think of it like I like to think of it as a celebration, like a party, and multiple cultures are all there, under one package. The poem describes racial conflicts with mixed race people as historical events. This will be seen as a metaphor later on when we discuss the disease, as it says that mixed race people tend to attack themselves. Now, all of this poem is based off of a part of her life, as it is an autobiography. It is sent out as a message to the world, which we'll get to later. But this poem talks about her mother's illness, which is lupus, and both literally and metaphorically. Now, the first stanza sets us up by talking about lupus and describing it as, say, you're getting robbed. And let's say a policeman shows up to your house and he beats you up instead of the robber. That's what lupus is, basically. The second stanza moves a little bit away from that and starts bringing in the idea of more race and gender ideas. That starts showing us that this poem might, or lupus might be a metaphor for something. Give me the quote: a half breed woman can hardly do anything else but attack yourself, bringing the idea of half breed, so heritage, woman, gender, and then attacking yourself, lupus. In the third stanza, uses another metaphor to talk about the disease. It says that a mother must defend her house, but the house gets broken and robbed, further cementing the idea of lupus. And then the final stanza talks about the verdict, in which the author just says we have to wait and see what happens. But then it talks about alchemy and uses it as a metaphor. Now, her mother's illness, once again, it is lupus. When lupus is when your body attacks itself. And the author can only wait and see for the result, although the result is ambiguous, not really fully explained. And it's described that lupus makes her mother feel like her joints are going to explode. And there are some opposing thoughts here, not necessarily to the poem as a whole, but to some ideas here. Susan Sontag argues that metaphors exaggerate diseases and how much harm they really cause. Like, for example, she says that metaphors involving cancer usually depict your body as battling cancer or fighting it like a military. But cancer is more like an alien or a foreign invader. She doesn't like this, as it makes the body look like it's an enemy of some kind. But the true purpose of this poem is to be used as a political statement. It's to represent and help get a message out towards mixed people, multicultural people, because they can have a hard life. Once again, this brings in the idea of her multicultural background and origin. Whenever it shifts to alchemy in the last stanza, she talks about a crucible vaporizing. It's kind of random to shift into alchemy, and it's obvious that this is a metaphor. It's not just talking about, say, her mother's health vaporizing or slowly getting worse, but it's more like the idea that a woman will have a hard time being mixed cultured in society.